How it is, bro? It's the Bareback Barbarians Podcast up in this piece doing what we do. Welcome, everybody. Second episode of the Bareback Barbarians Podcast. I'm here with the man, Teflon, Tony Linguini. What's going on, brother?
You know what it is, baby. You know how it is. You know how we do. We up in how it is, bro. It's the Bareback Barbarians Podcast up in this piece doing what we do.
All right, one. Okay, let's switch it up to politics. So we want to get a burner topic out here because we want to get them burning. We want to get this kitchen running. You understand? I'm trying to get the kitchen burning, and I'm not trying to call the fire department. Mass shootings, my brother. But what do you think about the rise in mass shootings? We saw the one in Ohio and the one in El Paso, Texas happen within 24 hours of each other, and we just had one yesterday. That's 3 in a month. 3 in a month. I've never seen anything like it. Teflon, give me your word on it.
Yeah, the last one that you said, the one that just happened out there, I don't consider that. It's a mass shooting, but it's not like the same one. Ones that we've seen. This is not a guy who went out to commit a mass shooting. He's someone who got stopped when they got pulled over by the cops, then shot the cops, and then went out and went a rampage and started shooting people. He probably was like, fuck it, I'm dissed right now, so I'm just taking out as many people as I can. I don't know if he went out there purposely and that was his plan and he just got pulled over before that and he was going to shoot everybody up, or he just started shooting people up because he got pulled over by the cop. So that's a little bit different than someone just walking up in a Walmart and shooting people up and that was just their plan. It's just the rise of white supremacy that's just been showing. You know, it's not even the rise of white supremacy. White supremacy has always been there. It's just now that we have people like Donald Trump and you have people like Laura Ingraham and you have people like Tucker Carlson on Fox News over here, you know,
fanning the flames.
Yeah, putting it out there and making people think that it's okay to do it, that they go out there and start doing it. And you start making people feel like they're losing something. You know, that's how you do it. It's the same ploy they did back in the day when the slaves were there with the black man. At the beginning, as they always said, that the black man was going to come and he's going to take your women and he's going to take your spot in Congress and they're going to be there. It's the same exact play that they're using right now. And now they're using Mexicans, saying the Mexicans are going to take your jobs and they're rapists and they're killers and everything. You know, Donald Trump had to run on that because he really had nothing else to run on. When you look at all of his policies that he had none. He had no way to help. So all he did was just take this ideology and he fanned the flames and he got it going. And now these people feel like they're emboldened to go out there and commit these crimes. And that's why we see the rise in it since he's taken office.
Yeah. And we had that incident that happened in Charlotte when they had that rally, which is really close to where I live in Virginia. Only about an hour and a half away. They had that rally in Charlottesville where all those rednecks and right-wing supremacists were rallying for all these Confederate statues that are getting taken down. And people don't know this, but not these statues that were all put up in America glorifying the Confederacy, glorifying people that lost. These dudes lost the war and they're glorifying it. People don't know these were actually put up by rich white women in the 1920s during the Depression era. Most of the Confederate statues were put up by women, right-wing women in America that were trying to glorify their grandfathers, because basically in the 1920s they were only removed a few generations from the Civil War, so these rich white women were trying to glorify like their grandfathers and whatnot, and Jim Crow era, and they're seeing that blacks were possibly contributing to the Great Depression, so they started putting up all these statues everywhere. Started naming highways. Jim Davis, we got a highway here in Virginia, right before DC is Jim Davis Highway. They got glorified monuments for people who lost the war. You know what I mean?
I don't even think about it as they lost the war. You got to look at it for what they really did. They committed treason against the United States of America and went to war with them. And that's the way it should be looked at. This is a treasonous people who committed treason against the land and then rebelled against the land and went to war against them. And that's what it is. So anyone who flies that flag, it's a treasonous flag you're flying. And that's basically what it is. So they put these monuments up of these people for whatever reason they felt like doing it at the time, just to make people not forget about them and to always keep that sow the seed that, hey, we tried to do something and we don't believe in integration. We don't believe in blacks and whites being together. And we believe in slavery. That's what our forefathers fought for and tried to get out of this country. And that's what they represent. And anyone who flies a Confederate flag, that's what they're flying it for. That people can go out there and lie and say, oh, we're part of the Old South. Well, the Old South, what? Meaning slavery? Because there is no Old South. The Old South was the United States. You would be flying the United States flag. That was the Old South. It wasn't until they rebelled and committed treason. So if you're flying that flag, you're just doing it because you support what they fought for. And that was to maintain slavery. That was the bottom line. That's what the war basically was fought over.
Yeah, and MAGA, Make America Great Again, is basically make America 1950s again. I don't need to say what it, put it out, put the the bulletin on the joint, but it's basically make America 1950s again. Pre, civil rights movement, pre all that. So this is basically what you said. This is the only way he basically could run. This is how he ran his ticket. I still can't believe that he won, but it's going to go down in history as one of those elections.
I know exactly why he won. I predicted that he would win. It was pretty easy to see that he would win. Well, he lost the popular vote, so if it was ruled by that way, he wouldn't be president. But the bottom line is this, and people always have to remember this, that the black man was given the right to vote before the white woman, right? So people respect man over woman. And there was just no way a lot of these white men and a lot of men in general were going to vote for a woman to be president. If he would have ran against anybody else that wasn't a woman, he would have lost. And I blame the Democratic Party because Bernie Sanders really had the best shot of beating him, and they really F Bernie out of that shot. All the established Democrats, all the ones that were in there, F Bernie out of getting his spot there and give him a fair shake to win. And Bernie Sanders would have beat him easy. So I really blame the Democrats also for effing Bernie Sanders, and it's partly their fault that Trump got elected.
The thing is, it's like Bernie's got a scarlet letter on his back, and that letter is the letter S, which is socialist. And
well, it's democratic socialism, right? So that's not, he's not a socialist. It's democratic socialism is what he represents and what he stands for. So people may brand it as socialism, but it's not socialism. It's democratic socialism, which is a difference.
Yeah, and Europe has something similar to that. I think in England they call it liberal Democrat. I think in Germany they call it social democrat. It's just that in America they want it so black and white. They want it so, either Republican, Democrat. Why can't there be a third party? Why can't there?
There could be a third party. There's the independent. You can run as independent, and they could be. It's not about that. It's just
but
what
they're
it is.
never going to win. Those parties are never going to win.
That's good. They could win if they got the right support. But what it is just that they don't want Bernie to win, so they needed a reason to make him feel like he was different. So they scared people with the word socialism, and they scared people with that to make them not vote for Bernie. And that's the thing. He's really just a progressive candidate who would do a lot of progressive things for this country. And that's it. No old conservatives who don't want to see that change, because Bernie Sanders gets in there, he's upsetting the apple cart. He's changing things around. All the rich corporations are not going to get the tax break that they got under Donald Trump. He wouldn't have done that. He's not going to be like, I would say, Barack Obama. He wouldn't be like that, and he wouldn't just sit in there and negotiate with them and work with the Republicans. He's going there to work against the Republicans, to work for the people. He's flipping
the table over, is what he's trying to do.
That's right, and that's why they don't want him in there. So if you get they rather get Hillary in there because Hillary is still part of the machine, and that's the bottom line. She may not be a Republican, but she's a part of the machine. She'll compromise.
She's a corporate shill.
Yeah, she'll compromise with him. She'll do whatever. Bernie's not compromising with nothing, and that's the bottom line. He's going to put forth his policies and get them done. Something that Barack Obama should have done, but he was too interested in getting along with people who didn't give a f about him to get along with. That's why as soon as he got out of office, Trump and the Republicans did everything they can to try to remove everything he put into place to try to erase him from the history books. That's their plan. That's what they want to do.
That's the problem with being first on top of the mountain, man. Sir Edmund Hillary climbed Mount Everest with Tenzin, a Sherpa. He was the first man to climb Mount Everest. And now if you look at Mount Everest, it's basically a tourist death trap. And you got thousands of people go there every year dying just to try to take a selfie on top of a mountain. Barack Obama was the first black president. There was going to be slip-ups and hurdles for the first. Just like when the first Hispanic president comes along or the first Korean president comes along, whenever you're the first, you're the bad guy. Because you're going to have a whole half of a demographic is not going to like you. So I don't blame Obama for, trying to negotiate the other side of the table. The problem was the Republicans completely controlled Congress and shut down a lot of legislation. And they basically put a cog in the capitalist American wheel.
Yeah, but they did do that, but it's still to the fact that he knew they were doing that, and he still went in there and tried to compromise with them. There's some things he could have got through. There's executive decisions he could have made, and orders he could have put through there, and got stuff out of there. Listen, that's the one thing I'll say about the Republican Party over the Democratic Party, especially people like George W. Bush when he was president, the second. He didn't care what anyone said. He just did what he wanted to do, and that was it. And they just get it done. That's what Barack Obama should have went in there under that mentality, but he didn't. He wanted to be liked by everybody, liked too much, and that was his problem. I respect the man, Barack Obama, for being the first black president, and I respect the man for what he is and everything he's done. But he messed up a lot. When he went to Flint during the water crisis and basically took a sip of that water, I lost a little bit of respect for him because people went there. They wanted him to be the savior. He was supposed to go there and help these people out. He knew that water was toxic, and he's going to sit there and let it touch his lips. He could have put a monkey wrench in that whole system, but he didn't because he was trying to get along with people too much, and he should not have compromised as much. And that's the problem that I have with him in this presidency.
Yeah, and the thing is, I want to get statistics on this. If anybody could do it in the comment section, I want to know if mass shootings were on the rise like they are right now during Obama's presidency. I don't think they were.
No, of course not. There's no reason. It's now because they're saying there was no big call to action like there is when Trump came. The call to action was because he became president. That's when people started losing their mind. It's like, I remember when he won the presidency, you learned a lot about people on your Facebook page that you thought you were cool with. You learned a lot about people that you were friends with, how they really felt when he became president, because people lost their mind. A lot of white people lost their mind. They didn't think he'd win. And a lot of stuff came out. And that's the way it is right now with Donald Trump. You're seeing a lot. I learned a lot about people that I thought were different, but I could see them now. It's hard for me to see them in the same light because of the way they support this guy and they know everything about him, that I have to look at the whole situation different.
Facebook was like the wild, wild west when this man became president. People I thought was something became something else when this dude got elected. It was crazy, bro. It was like, people you went to high school with, like, MAGA. And I'm sitting here like, so what are you saying? You want to go back to the 1950s? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Really? And then their whole psyche, and then their whole shebang bang. This is what MAGA means. And people don't understand what MAGA means yet, then you're lying to yourself. Um, these mass shootings are a tragedy. And the sick thing is, the first one that ever happened was Columbine. That was 97. I was in middle school. This is our generation. I was still in school. Teflon, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you were still in school.
Yeah, but that's a whole different situation. Those are kids being bullied, right? Who didn't want to get bullied anymore. So that's not a political shooting. It's bad that it was a shooting, but it was someone being bullied. I've seen people get shot in school before, way before that happened. There've been people getting shot in school in the cities for a long time. As metal detectors in my high school when I went to high school that you had to walk through because people got shot. It was just that it happened in the suburb. And these kids just went on a killing spree, killing everybody in the school that they could kill. That got the attention of everyone. But there's been people getting shot in schools for a long time.
Yeah, and the thing is, Fox News is basically a shill. Is basically another is a shill for Trump and all his shenanigans. Back in not too long ago, about 15 years ago, they had Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck is basically the godfather of all of this type of stuff. It's just that Fox News has now went from one guy fanning the flames to a whole channel of different anchors fanning the flame. They got Tucker Carlson, they got Sean Hannity, they got this, that, and the third. They got that woman.
Laura Ingrams, Gene Pereiro, all these people are just straight racists. Racists.
But remember when it was just Glenn Beck though?
No, yeah, Glenn Beck, he was doing it. That Bill O'Reilly was doing. They always been that way. That's always the way that channel has been. It's a racist channel. These people are just now they're just blatantly saying it. Before they would just beat around the bush with it, but now these guys just blatantly come right out and say it. So it's always been that way on Fox News. That's just the way it is. It's that now Trump has empowered people that to come right out and say it, and these people just come straight out and say it. But to me, from what I've seen, I don't know them personally, but from what I'm seeing, that they're white supremacists.
The scariest thing about Fox and all that is, and what Trump's done is like the way he's basically said that CNN and MSNBC are basically fake news, and basically every other BBC in Britain, all the other broadcasts, they're fake news, So basically you got people that don't trust news sources anymore. This is a problem. And then you got Russia, who it's been proven that they dibbled and dabbled in our election. They had bots all up in Twitter and Facebook sending misinformation campaigns during the election. They had thousands of bots. People don't understand this. They had thousands of bots in Twitter and Facebook sending out fake articles that weren't from real websites. They were made up websites, and people actually believed it. And that was fake news. That was the real fake news. What Trump did was he flipped that. He flipped what the Russians did and made it that the mainstream media is fake news. And now we got completely people not believing what they're hearing from their own journalists. And this is dangerous. This is right now is scary. I don't know what it'll lead to. We're gonna find out in 2020. I don't know how.
Well, you've seen what it's led to. Led to mass shootings. That's what it's led to.
Exactly. I know. Yeah, we do know what it's led to. It's led to the fan of the flame. The flames are getting high, and nobody's calling the police, the fire department. You know what I mean? Nobody's getting the ladders out. You feel me?
Yeah, no doubt about it. So it's only going to get worse. And that's just the bottom line. It's like I said, he has nothing to run on. He was trying to run on the economy right now, which was not his economy, which is Barack Obama's economy that he just took credit for. But it's really just Barack Obama's economy. And now he's going to run the country into the ground with these tariffs against China. And it's going to ruin the economy. And he's really going to have nothing to run on to say that plant his hat on and say that he plant his flag in and say that he did something good. So he's going to have to go back to what worked for him last time. And that's racism. And that's what he's going to do. And there's no doubt about it. And that's how it'll play out if he even makes it to running again. Because I don't even know if he's going to make it to running again. Because if it gets too bad, I think he'll just drop out.
before we end the topic, we're gonna give our predictions on who we think can beat him in 2020. I mean, when I look at the Democratic Party right now, it looks confused. It looks disorganized. You got Joe Biden making mistakes every speech he gives, and I really was hoping Joe Biden would take the mantle from Obama and just do the damn thing. But he looks like he's going senile. I don't know. Something's up with him. He's slurring his words. He's messing up speeches. Who's gonna beat him? There's nobody that's out there that's gonna beat the
Yeah,
man.
anyone out there beats him. It's not really hard to beat this dude. He has no anyone who's willing to stand up to him and beat him in a debate. It's pretty easy to beat him. And I think Elizabeth Warren beats him. I think Bernie Sanders beat him. I think that's who the Democrats should be running with right now. Either her or him. Everybody else I wouldn't even think about. It should be either Elizabeth Warren. I would take her all day. And if not her, Bernie Sanders. And if you could put one as president, Elizabeth Warren as president, Bernie as vice president, I'd take that all day. And I think that ticket beats anything Trump puts out there. Because she's too smart for him. She'll destroy him in a debate. She'll destroy him. She'll make him look really bad. She's a very, very smart woman. She's probably the smartest woman in this whole thing. And probably if she became president, would be probably one of the smartest presidents of all time. I would love to see Elizabeth Warren take this.
Yeah, and she went to school here in D.C. She went to George Washington to get her law degree back in the 70s when she was a young thing. I was reading articles, saw pictures of her. She was a young thing, nice little filly back in the 70s, getting a thing on in D.C. Man, I mean, can she do it? Will she do it? I mean, the man already labeled her Pocahontas. I mean, it's crazy the way he deflects and the way he labels and brands people, and then they get labeled this Pocahontas. Who comes up with that?
Well, that's because it's a thing that she filled out on one of her forms. That's why he's saying that. But saying that she was claiming that she was Indian or something like that. That's why he's doing that. But no, I don't think that the childish tactics that he used to defeat the Republicans would work against her, because there's too many things he can be labeled as. Because number one, he's going to be labeled as a racist. Number two, he's going to be labeled as a womanizer. He's going to have too many labels of his own to want to start calling names. So I don't think he'll be really wanting to go down that road with her.
The man was like John Gotti during the election. He was Teflon, bro. Your namesake, bro. Everything this man did, it didn't stick to him. It was like John Gotti back in the day when they was hitting him with charges and nothing would stick. This man, they had him recorded saying he would grab a woman by the you know what, didn't stick. They got all sorts of stuff. The man been bankrupt 7-8 times. I mean, he puts people out of business and unemployed. He's unemployed so many people. I mean, the man, saying that he's worse than Rockefeller. He's put so many people out on the street. He had Polish immigrant workers that he didn't pay in the 80s. I mean, there's so much knowledge. Nothing stuck and nothing.
That's because people wouldn't use it against him. They didn't say anything. They were too respectful. You know what I mean? You can't be respectful. This is the guy who's paid off a prostitute. He paid off a Playboy model, a porn star. He said he didn't, but he did. He's ready to be. He's violated. He's taken the word of nations that are enemies over his own government. He's trust me, Elizabeth Warren will put him in his place, and she'll put him in his place quick. He does not want to see her in a debate. It would be real easy for her to do it too. I'm sure she's looking at chops to get towards Donald Trump. If that's the word she's going to say is Pocahontas. That said, he has no policy he can stand on that she can't defeat him on. She's too smart. And those tactics only work against people like when he beat these other people out there. It was basically like he was playing the dozens on them. You know what I mean? He was just throwing insult after insult and making the crowd laugh. And that's not going to work this time. That's not. And all the other people, all the Jed Bushes and everyone else, they weren't prepared for that. So it wouldn't work versus Elizabeth Warren. Number one, you can't really insult a woman. too much. You can't go overboard with your insults of a woman because it'll look bad for you. So it'll
I
have
mean,
to.
he got away with it with Hillary. He was calling
No
her
one liked. No
crooked
one.
Hillary
No
Clinton the
one.
whole
No one
campaign.
liked. He won that. I'm telling you what happened. The reason why. This is the reason why he won that election. The bottom line is this: James Comey came out with a report like the day before all the election was about to go down, saying that they were doing an investigation on Hillary Clinton for the emails, and then he wound up not doing nothing. But if he
Yep.
didn't say that, that's what like made all the stuff he said true right then, and that's what pushed him over the top. If James Clooney, if that FBI director did not come out there and say that, Hillary Clinton would have beat him. And number two, everybody.
That was a misinformation campaign.
It was, and he should have been fired from the FBI for doing that straight up, right off the bat, for doing that. He should have been fired because he's the one who tilted the whole election. And the bottom line is everyone hates Hillary Clinton. They hate the Clintons. There's so many people that hate the Clintons that's the only person in the world he could have ran against and won. And he did, and he barely won when it came down to it. He lost the popular vote. That's the only person he could have beat in the world was Hillary Clinton, and he just got lucky to go up against her. There's no one else that he could beat in the Democratic Party right now. Everyone beats him. They beat him by a mile. There's no one that he can go up against and beat.
Yeah, I mean, it seems easy in relative common sense terms. It looks like a slam dunk. Any rational Democrat that comes out in the monkey suit and does the damn thing, should beat him. In all honesty, this guy should be a one-time, one-hitter quitter president. He should be a George H.W. Bush. He should just be a one-time, one-election president. He can't be a Reagan type. He can't have 2 terms.
He's not getting 2 terms. You don't have to worry about that.
If the man gets 2 terms,
no, it's not gonna.
And they've like corporations are already benefiting from the unregulation that's going on. If the man gets 2 terms, we might be in the 80s all over again.
No, the 80s were very productive when it came to the economy. We'll never be there, but the
economy's good right now, though.
The economy's going downhill. It's not really the good economy. It's good for the rich people. It's good for people who have 401k and money inside of the stock market. But for the average person who doesn't have 401k, doesn't have money in the stock market, it's not that good for them. And there's farmers who've lost $500,000 a piece because of the deals the sanctions he's put on with China. So the economy is not that good, and it's going down. It's just a bubble, and it's about to burst.
And the farmers are who he wooed and cooed in the last election, telling them we're bringing all the jobs back. We're doing this, that, and the third. Detroit, we're going to make Detroit a city again. It's going to be back with the cars again. With the farmers, y'all going to have this, that, and the third. Y'all going to have the Garden of Eden. You're going to have every plant under the grass. And look what happened. This man went after the undocumented workers with all these immigration laws. And now the farmers are hurting because ain't nobody picking strawberries at 50 cents a barrel other than an undocumented worker. You ain't going to catch no white person, no black person in no cotton picking fields like an undocumented worker. So who's suffering right now? The farmers.
Well, no one's going to do that because no one can feed their family on that. The people have families to feed. And in the United States, you can't live off that. So if these farmers paid a good wage to American workers would do it. But they'd rather not pay a good wage. They'd rather pay an unlivable wage. And the only people who are willing to take those jobs are the foreign people who can't get legitimate jobs. So they take those jobs.
And these people are the ones getting hit the worst with immigration laws. So what does that put the farmers in? That puts the farmers in a big bind. Should they vote for a guy that's taking away their labor?
No, a lot of farmers sold a lot of their stuff to China, and they can't sell their stuff to China anymore. So he's hurt them just with that alone.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap this up, folks. This is the Bareback Podcast. where we go bareback into every news and topic under the bush. Teflon, sign out.
Yeah, you know who it is, Don Tony Teflon, Mo Genie Languini. You know how we do. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Bareback Barbarian Podcast. Peace and stay sexy.